I spent my whole life looking for you. Finally, I found you.
Greetings ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mangs and today we are closing in on the last stop for the Royal Train. I am so sorry for taking so long to re-upload this one, but I've been swamped with things to do as of late. Anyway, we have represented royalty from both Nor and Hoshidan, and now it is time to finish our journey by taking a look at the last remaining member, the Master of the Helicopterlands and the Princess of Thighs and Legs, Hinoka!
I started training so I could rescue you. Now, I train to protect you.
Hinoka is the sister of Ryoma, Takumi, and Sakura, and the second oldest child of King Sumeragi and Queen Ikona of Hoshidan. Growing up, Hinoka was very similar to her younger sister Sakura in many ways. She was timid, kind, shy, and reserved. However, a string of events would occur later on in her life that would rapidly change her and make her grow up a lot faster than she otherwise would have. First of all, her mother Ikona passed away when she was still very young. Then, her father, Sumeragi, was assassinated by King Garon of Nor during the supposed signing of a peace treaty, and consequently, her younger brother Korin was kidnapped and taken to Nor to be raised by the Norian royalty. These events greatly impacted Hinoka as she felt weak and powerless to prevent them, and thus she started blaming herself. Instead of being kind and caring, Hinoka changed to become hard and rugged. Since she felt so responsible for the events that occurred, she decided to train herself to become a Sky Knight, planning to one day fly all the way over to Nor to rescue her abducted brother. Becoming a Sky Knight proved to be no easy feat for Hinoka, as riding a Pegasus requires the rider to be extremely calm, sensitive, and patient. Due to her failure to control her fiery temper, she would often be thrown off her Pegasus mid-flight, often injuring herself badly. One time, when she was out flying, an accident like this occurred, and she was too far away from Hoshidan to be helped by her people. Luckily for her, a nearby monk had witnessed the fall and rushed to her aid. His name was Azama. Azama healed her wounds and helped her back to the safety of her civilization. Thankful for this selfless act, Hinoka decided to appoint Azama as her royal retainer. Hinoka would also appoint a second retainer into her service, an archer from high nobility named Setsuna. For a little bit of backstory regarding the support, we actually have to take a look at Setsuna's support with Niles in Revelation, where she explains that the reason she got picked as Hinoka's retainer was because her family was very rich and influential with the Hoshidan royalty, and thus Setsuna was privileged enough to become Hinoka's retainer, despite maybe not being the best qualified person for the job. On multiple occasions, Hinoka would attempt to sneak out of the royal palace with her Pegasus to attempt to fly to Nor in order to rescue Korin, but she was always stopped by either Ryoma or Mikoto before she could do anything too foolish. Hinoka would eventually master her Pegasus and grow up to become a fierce warrior, respected and admired by the Hoshidan people. She turned out to become quite a tomboyish princess, more interested in mastering the art of the lance rather than learning how to become a proper lady. Hinoka is a girl in her late teens with a rough style, sporting ruffled short red hair, amber eyes, and a slim but athletic build. She doesn't really have much in the department of female curves, but does possess relatively wide hips and thick thighs. She wears a red and white tunic adorned with a white cloak, and wears high red boots and stockings. She has a fiery expression in her eyes that reflects her strong willpower and determination. Out of her Hoshidan siblings, Hinoka is the one resembling her older brother Ryoma the most. She is rough around the edges and doesn't beat around the bush. While she can be tough as nails, she also openly displays her soft side with no shame, gladly showing love for her siblings and country. If there is one thing she is ashamed of, it is her inability to act like a proper lady, something Ryoma openly teases her about in their support conversations. One of Hinoka's most iconic traits is that she refuses to let herself rely on her allies, as she wants to accomplish things on her own. This can be a weakness, as sometimes she really has no choice but to rely on those around her, but also a strength, as she uses it for a reason to constantly improving herself to get stronger.
waited for this. This is it for you. Victory is mine.
As a unit, Hinoka's viability largely depends on the route you are taking. In Birthright, she joins as early as Chapter 8 with a respectable basis for her join time and plenty of easy chapters to level up on. In Revelation, however, she joins extremely late during Chapter 16, still unpromoted and competes with 7 other royals as opposed to 3. She's still a viable unit in both routes, but Birthright is clearly where she shines the most. Much like what you'd expect of a classic Pegasus rider, Hinoka's main selling points are her high mobility, skill speed, luck, and resistance. Being a royal, all of her growth rates are very respectable, save her defense, which is slightly on the low side at 35%. Thanks to her high speed, she will pretty reliably double anything she goes up against, though she will struggle to do any meaningful damage against more armored enemies, and sadly, there are no armor-slaying lances in Fates. Being a flyer, Hinoka obviously has fantastic mobility, which is very nice considering she can pop dragon veins and can more easily reach the ones which are in hard to reach locations. She also has the standard weakness to arrows that all flyers share, and sadly there is no Feely or Delphi shield in Fates to negate this. Also keep in mind that Skyknights are considered beasts, so watch out for enemy beast killers. Even not counting her weakness to arrows or beast killers, Hinoka is by far one of the less durable royals. Granted, she comes equipped with a guard Naginata, which can help her offset this problem quite a bit, but I would recommend trading this away to a spearfighter like Obro, as it's a weapon that shines on enemy face, and therefore it is much better in the hands of a tanky frontline unit. Besides, 5 points of defense won't really make that much of a difference against an enemy archer. Hinoka's personal skill, Rallying Cry, follows the trend of being the opposite of the younger sibling, as it increases the damage dealt by all friendly units within 2 tiles by 2. In Fates, I find that skills that increase damage are a lot less useful than skills that prevent it, since usually 2 extra damage is not super significant. On top of that, Hinoka is a flyer, meaning she won't really be stuck in the center of your army, but will often be on the outskirts, flying off to do her own things and pick off isolated foes behind enemy lines. It is also a personal skill that does virtually nothing for Hinoka herself, which is a bit sad. Hinoka also comes with Darting Blow, which means that whenever she attacks someone, her speed is treated as being 5 points higher than it actually is in regards to calculating whether she doubles. This skill does not increase her avoidance, but it does make enemies less likely to double her on their counterattacks, if that should ever happen. Darting Blow is in most cases complete overkill, as Hinoka's speed is high enough to double most enemies in the game anyway. At level 10, Hinoka will pick up Camaraderie, which heals her for 10% of her max health at the start of your turn, whenever there's an ally within 2 tiles of Hinoka. This is a very strange skill for flyers to pick up, as being flyers, their whole gimmick is that they can go places others cannot, and thus I find it weird that Fates decide that this was a good skill to give Skyknights. Still, it's hardly noticeable. 10% of Hinoka's already low hit points will often result in this healing a forgettable amount, though it does stack with other sources of passive healing. Using a Master Seal, Hinoka can promote to either a Falcon Knight or a Kinshi Knight. Falcon Knight is by far the better option, as Kinshi Knight will give her an E rank in bows, so unless you have an arm scroll or 2 to spare, you will have to go through a tedious weapon rank grind before she can start being useful in any way. Falcon Knight just makes her a lot better at doing what she's already good at, and it allows her to assist a little bit with healing as well, though her low magic will make that healing pretty insignificant until you can get her staff rank up a little bit. As a level 5 Falcon Knight, Hinoka picks up Rally Speed, which is by far one of the most useful rallies in the game. The only issue with this rally is that once Hinoka gets it, you might find yourself doing nothing but rallying with her, as it is simply more useful than anything Hinoka herself can pull off most of the time. As a level 15 Falcon Knight, Hinoka gains Warding Blow, which allows her to reduce the damage taken by magical counterattacks by 20 whenever she attacks. Warding Blow is a skill that sounds amazing on paper, but like many of her other skills, ends up being complete overkill. With her 60% resistance growth, Hinoka's resistance will already be fantastic, and as a level 15 Falcon Knight, she might even already have capped the stats. There are extremely few magic-wielding enemies in the late game of Birthright and Revelation that will be able to do any meaningful damage to her whatsoever, so Warding Blow ends up being completely unnoticeable. As a level 5 Kinshi Knight, Hinoka picks up Air Superiority, which is like a mini breaker skill of sorts, but against flyers. It will give her 30 hit and avoid whenever she fights any flying units. This skill is actually incredibly useful to have, as your flyers will often be the one to engage enemy flyers first, as they tend to attack you from locations your other units can't reach. This skill still doesn't allow Hinoka to safely fight Kinshi Knights, but it does help a lot against other flyers. As a level 15 Kinshi Knight, Hinoka picks up Amaterasu, which heals nearby allies within 2 tiles for 20% of their health at the start of each turn. Again, this skill is another support skill that works on nearby allies. This could be useful if you focus Hinoka on being more of a supportive unit that stays in the center of your army, though I find it weird to have a flyer with superior movement being shackled down like that. Still, it can be very effective when combined with her other skills and rallies that help nearby allies, turning her into a very good support unit. Using a Heartsteel, Hinoka can reclass to a Spearfighter and later on a Spearmaster or Basara. While she doesn't have the same mobility as a Falcon Knight, Hinoka as a Spearmaster actually makes for a pretty balanced and well-rounded unit. While sacrificing so many stats may seem like a loss on the surface, you're primarily losing speed, resistance and luck, and trading that in for more strength, defense and skill. Hinoka already has excellent speed, rust and luck growths, so she doesn't particularly lose much from the promotion in the long run. The boosts she gets from Spearmaster are well worth it, particularly that extra skill which helps her proc Rend Heaven if you decide to pick that up from the Basara. Not to mention she picks up Seal Speed and Seal Defense, which makes her good at debuffing stronger, harder to kill enemies. On top of that, removing her Pegasus also removes, or at least mostly nullifies, her weakness to bows as well as her weakness to effective weapons like Beast Killers, and gives her a bit of defense to take another hit or two. Overall, I'd say it's probably even a better choice than her main class. In short, she becomes a slightly better Oboro with royal blood. As a mother, Hinoka passes down solid growth rates in most areas as well as her dragon blood to her child. She makes for a very good wife of Tsubaki, as Kaeldori is already a Sky Knight, thus Hinoka will pass down her Spearfighter class instead, and Kaeldori as a Spearfighter is actually a very solid unit, sporting very similar growth rates to Hinoka herself. Hinoka also makes for a good wife of any Cavalier or Paladin such as Silas or Sander, as she can become a very good Cavalier or Paladin herself with the use of a partner steal, since her lance rank is already good to go. At the end of the day, Hinoka doesn't really hold a candle to the rest of the royals. She is roughly in the same boat as Sakura, she is good at what she does, and certainly a step above most other units thanks to her royal blood, but she can't really compete with the other royals like Ryoma, Takumi, Sander, Leo and Camilla. Still, she is a very solid Sky Knight that certainly won't let you down, and she certainly leagues better than Tsubaki, poor guy. Just keep Miss Thunderthighs safe and far away from enemy archers, and she will usually end up serving you quite well.
Today was fun. We should do this more often.
Thank you for watching this character spotlight. If you enjoyed it, please consider leaving a like and a comment. It really helps out this channel a lot. If there is a specific character you'd like to see me cover in a future spotlight, let me hear about it in the comment section below. But do make sure you check out my playlist by clicking the link on the screen, as I may already have covered your favorite character. Below are also some of the other spotlights I've done that you can check out by clicking on them. The amazing art and wallpapers you see used during these spotlights are made by my designer Mina Tangerina. You can visit her page or Instagram by clicking the links in the video description. She also has a stream where she occasionally draws stuff live, so make sure you check out that as well. I'd also like to thank my two script readers, Nasiro and Max HP, who helped me out with the fine-tuning of the script of the spotlights. They have YouTube channels of their own, which you can visit by clicking the link on the screen. At any rate, my name is Vidmangs, thank you for watching my videos, and as always, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.